Bayete.
You're crazy, dog. It's Bayete now, dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's befitting, is it not? Like,
Yeah. No, it
you
is a question of kingship. No, this is the question with this video is like about this message. This is a message to one of the leaders of the biggest faction in the Nazaretha movement.
Mhm.
It is a question about kingship. Who is our king? This guy is called LWEZULU. I have to give him the credit, right?
Mhm.
I have to give him credit where it's due. It said this faction has preserved the fundamental principle behind the movement at its inception.
Mhm.
There was one fundamental principle that this church was founded on, that this idea that there's a coming son of a man or person that will be God, right? And that will restore and reestablish, the way of life of the Bantu peoples, you know what I'm saying? And overthrow their colonizer, right?
Sure.
So that's a fundamental. So the idea that this particular coming king is God is a very important aspect of the faith, and that's something that's been watered down by the other factions, right? So that we gotta give credit, but to the disgruntlement of most of the other factions, I mean, for him to do that, he's broken all the rules.
Rules.
You get what I'm saying? So he doesn't do anything. I would say this faction does their own thing. So
Yes.
according to anybody that's like a strict or uh, part of the movement or the original movement, this is slightly different in what they do. So to such an extent, that's why I call this video "Remember My Seat," because now this man, despite the fact that he preserves the idea that the God of the AMANZARETHA is a man, he is now referred to as INKOSI. You know, when the actual original title of the coming king is INKOSI YASEKUPHAKAMENI. So everything is
What's the
different.
difference between the two terms
A
or two
plane,
titles? Yeah.
no, a plane just refers to the name of the faction or the location.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay, okay.
It's the same way that the original founder, when he came, he was at Ekparameni. The place was called
Yes.
Ekparameni.
Okay.
So it's that simple. But there's a video I want you to check out that there's a problem. When you talk about breaking the rules, the question becomes like, who is really the king? Yes, they got it right that the coming king, the king of the AMANZARETHA is God.
Yes.
But then, what does that happen? What happens to the king of the Zulus? And this is the question. I don't know if you want to play that clip.
Yeah. Let me hook you up then, so you can take us through all of this. Let's get to it. So this is like an introduction of UMAKOTI.
Yeah, you see, he's dressed in a dress there, so he he's basically an illustration of who this coming king would be.
Okay, so now,
Amen.
we really need to understand this
Yeah.
properly so you can educate us, right? I have a question here for you. So in this illustration,
Yeah.
is it permitted for the king, in the sense, to walk beside?
No, absolutely not. You're ruining the ritual. This is the question I have to UNYAZI. We understand that you deal with these political figures and you're trying to mingle with the elite of this world,
Yes.
and be friendly with them. But this is taking it way too far. Because the question becomes, if you are Unkulunkulu, right? If you are a representation of Unkulunkulu, and if you can see there, Unkulunkulu is represented as a person who come like a bride to respond to her husband's prayer, which is the
Yes.
prayer of the congregation. All right. So if that's the case, who is this man standing next to the Makoti WASEZULWINI? Like, who is this man? That's the question we're asking now. That's what's going on.
Could it be said that maybe in this case, I don't know, I'm gonna force it. I'm gonna ask.
Are you gonna force it? Yeah.
I'm asking as raw as possible.
Yeah.
You know, there's a situation between these kings and these gods, right? There's a and then in between there's a demigod.
Yeah, yeah.
Would this be depicted as
that situation?
This situation where he now
No,
is
bro, no.
oh, maybe we lost it.
No.
Okay.
Fuck that, honestly. Because at the end of the day, this God promised to become the king.
But now the king, I'm asking on the basis of the king.
Yes.
The king being close, like.
This is my point I'm trying to make. Even the AMANZARETHA can have to ask this question and answer this question. Even the ministers of the congregation must ask this question. Who is the king of the AMANZARETHA? Is it the king of the Zulus? Or is it their king that is in front of them, the promised king, their promised king? So when their promised king shows up, is he gonna say, I am gonna re-establish this kingdom so that I can let Mrs. Zulu's kids sit on the throne? No, because I will sit on the throne. The actual coming king will sit on the throne. So who is this guy now standing next to? Yes. If you're contradicting, you've just messed up the whole ritual. So as much as we can give UNYAZI credit for saying, at least in terms of the substance of what AMANZARETHA is, and I'm gonna say this proudly and unapologetically, stuff all the guys who think they know better. The main message was the idea that there's gonna be some dude that's gonna hook up and be God. That dude's gonna come and, like a bride, listen to the prayer of the congregation and respond to it by re-establishing what they call and what they call Umbuso WEZULU, the kingdom of heaven and earth. And that's as simple as that. So now if you're gonna now distort the message because now you wanna be friendly with the king of the Zulus, bro, what are you doing now? You just ruined the whole ritual. So the whole point of UNYAZI, and I'm gonna say this to anybody that's listening to this and that's tripping, the whole point of the congregation calling him God is to really warm the seat of the coming king, because that coming king will be God. So now I'm gonna say to UNYAZI to say, step number one, remember my seat. Remember that I'm actually INKOSI YASEKUPHAKAMENI. So you're gonna have to tell your congregation to say, hey guys, yes, because of the factional issues, I decided to call me INKOSI YASEKUPHAKAMENI. Point number one. Point number two, he's gonna say that he's actually not God. He's not the actual promised coming king, right? And he's gonna actually acknowledge the founder of the Zulu Socialist Movement as that coming king. So I'm gonna put it up to him, and I think he might respond to this paper. But
we have questions as well. So say, for example, I'm part of the congregation. I don't know how to address these things, but you're bringing it up now. What happens then when you say, willing, let's say God willing,
ironically,
yeah. Answers. Now what happens to all these factions?
No, this is the point I'm making, brother. The founder of the Zulu social experiment is that God. That's the point I'm making. Sweet.